We're doing... Oh, I need to get my things on screen. We're doing some art of my new Fire Emblem OC. Oh, my headphone mic is out. Get my things all... I am someone for whom winter is a bit rough for. So, what I did last year was I got absolutely obsessed with Guilty Gear Strive. My brain wants to go Genshin Impact, but that's not right. And oh, I need my face may go away for a second. I have the, okay. So I drew this on my, like last night, just like watching shows. I had a migraine, that I was kind of like, just vibing through. Like I caught it really early, which is usually what I struggle with, is like like actually catching it early enough that way pain meds will do basically anything. But I did this time, so it was mostly like I laid down for a little bit, but I was still able to watch shows, which is good because I get bored a lot when I have migraines. And so let's get this reference up there. And so I got to still watch shows, and then when towards the end of it, when I was like able to like kind of sit up and like do things with my hands again and that kind of thing. Not that I couldn't move my hands, so that sounds much more stressful than it actually was. Just like let's try putting the navigator over here. No. Don't like that. Just don't know where to put my auto actions. That should be fine. But hang on. I send things to my brother when I need to get them from my phone to my computer. I have like a Discord server that's just me in it meant for this. I don't know why that's the easiest, like, cause I could email it to myself or that kind of thing. But if it's just like a image and I don't need to preserve the image quality, I can just do it that way. So we're gonna sketch over this. But yeah, I do some like watercolor. I used to do it a lot back when I had to ride the bus, and so like I actually, the one time that I did Inktober was when I was a bus rider, and I watercolored most all of them because I have a like travel watercolor palette, which I love. And then there was a period of time a few years ago when I got really into like doing watercolor drawings with this cheek is a little bit more over here. With colored pencil on top of them. And like I really enjoyed it. I don't remember why know what? I think this is a... So I should probably tell you a little bit about Callista. She is a pre-debut opera singer. You know Fire Emblem Three Houses. She this face angle is so hard. How did I do it better in my initial? We're gonna. I got this. I believe in myself. But she's a descendant of Dorothea. And so I saw that Dorothea wasn't taken, and I was like, my girl. And so she is very much she puts on a very snooty attitude, in some ways. But she is, unlike most of the other characters, she is not a noble. She's very much she's very much on the grind. There's a, so her family's, stability and how they make money is through, they're a lineage of opera singers. Ear feels like it's in a weird position, but it's not. I think it's partially because my mouth is off, so. But, I picked one of the hardest angles to do. I was literally just looking up I was like, I want any sort of full body pose that I can make into, because I need to finish explaining her, and then I can talk about why I wanted to do it this way. It looks, yeah, this is. But so she is from a lineage of opera singers, and basically a big way that they have kept their popularity and kept, even though they are, not from nobility, kept their social power, is by having these, whenever there is a new member of the family who is, has been, fully trained and, is, old enough to debut, they make it they pull all of their social connections to make it a big fucking deal. And they also, the other thing that the family does is very much, they are, the other role that the family has is, a master of ceremonies role. So that they use the two to go hand in hand of, okay, we have all these people who would come over to visit in order to see, in order to, have this, cultural experience. And now that we've met them, we can do the connections of, I think that really the main thing that was off with this was the face. So otherwise it's pretty good. And then once we have, those connections, we can kind of make some pointed introductions to help sway, the tone of policies and that kind of thing. So very much a kind of social power place, but because they don't have in the Fire Emblem world, the one of the big ways to get nobility is like you can get adopted into a noble family, etc. To get that social power is by having a crest, and she does not have a crest. And no one in her family does. So they're very much reliant on the popularity of, like, them as a cultural figure. And so Callista, was set to debut, was originally planned to debut, about 3 years ago. But 5 years ago, a war was declared. There is, and so because, like, there's a line that I want to use of, the world doesn't need a songstress, the world needs a sorceress right now. Where, she is very much like, I know that I won't get the necessary attention, basically, if I debut right now. Not necessary in order to get my, like, to keep my family's position until, I have a kid, or, like, we basically won't have, if any one of us fails, we lose our very precarious position. But, and so she's like, okay, the war's been going on for 3 years now. Every, like, excuse that I make of why, cause, like, the family's separate from the opera house, which is also, like, a bit of a, like, another, like, cultural figure. The longer that I delay this, the more, like, tensions rise between this opera house and my family. But because, like, for them, any, even if, like, it is, like, they're going to exist in this space during the war anyways, and so, like, and so the war going on has almost, like, slightly heightened, like, the, why is my battery draining? It should be plugged in. Hold on. Like, their desire to have her debut. And so she's basically like, okay, I need attention. I need to draw attention to my family, in some way. And I want to make this train longer, because I feel like it's not super clear what I'm trying to do here. I set the train longer, then I made the top bit higher. But, actually want this to be like heartfelt. Excuse me? Pen? Thank you. But, so she's basically entering into the war, as like a, or so there's two ways that she might go about it. Either as a soldier with the idea of, like, as a sorceress, with the idea of, if I can prove myself as a soldier, then when I debut, it'll be a bigger splash. Which is kind of how, like, her family got, a big part of its power in the first place. I wanted to make these harsh folds, and then, I proceeded to not. Or, to basically use my family's Master of Ceremonies role, to host these people who are a part of the war and get attention that way. Of like, okay, now you know my face, will you sponsor me when I am, like, debuting, basically? Because I feel like, so, a bit of the inspiration behind her. I feel like a lot of times, like, so I was thinking about the, like, oh, my family has a lot of expectations on me, because this character is very much built based off of, like, okay, what would a descendant of, Dorothea, so, like, this famous opera singer who, took part in the war, there would be a lot of pressure to do very well, assuming that her family is still well off. Like, that legacy of Dorothea continued, which I think it's fun to have, because then I can incorporate more elements of her story into, Callista's, like, vibe. But it does also create the, like, okay, so if you have a lot of pressure, I think that a lot of times, and even in the, Fire Emblem stories, there is, like, a, family pressure is bad, which I think that family pressure I'm generally of that opinion, but I wanted to explore the idea of somebody who is, under a lot of pressure by their family. However, they would meet it, like, they would succeed except for outside forces, where it's like, she loves singing, but she can't really sing publicly right now because, then it would be a whole scandal of, like, why didn't you debut with, Middlefrock? Which also creates an interesting thing of, she's a songstress. She does her spellcasting through music. So this has entirely changed, like, she knows how to fight. Where it's like, she's trained, at, 2 different places, but, it's the thing of, like, okay, she can't spellcast because, that would cause a scandal. And so this thing that she loves, that she would succeed at, she can't because of how the world is right now. And so she is trying to, she is being an attention hog. Not necessarily an attention hog, but, like, the kind of, somebody really wants attention. I don't remember. There's a term that I found that I liked, that I knew of beforehand, but I was just like, I was having a hard time with words. And she, hello. We're talking about, Callista, my Fire Emblem 3 Houses OC that I have made and I love. But she would succeed, except for she knows that, and she would succeed moderately if she debuted right now. But, there's the knowledge of she would not reach her potential or the level to which she needs to support her family. And so, I think that's a fun, like, tension. And I am excited to get to use her. But yeah. Oh, so like the reason why she has a border, and all of that is because I have been thinking about like, what I want my style to, or not style, kind of. Style can also include subject matter. What kind of things I want to do with my art. Also, as you can see, I struggled with drawing the Love and Sword. But, the things that I kind of want to do is I love doing game dev work, but I end up drawing a lot of things that are not necessarily like, if I could pick one thing to draw for the rest of my life, it would be characters. I love drawing characters. I love creating people. It's incredibly fun. I feel like her head is small. Hang on, I need to like compare to the reference. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Might be a little bit. Might also be the like amount of detail. But so the frame, I was thinking about like, I love doing like, so I used to be a convention artist. I really loved doing that. I love, and I have an online shop. Come look at my stuff. I have one print that sells. It's incredibly funny to me because at conventions, it is a pretty popular one, but it's not my most popular one. Online, it is the only one that sells. What can I say? The Spiritfarer fans know what they want. It's also because I have like one of the few like Spiritfarer prints. But is there a way to do this? I think that the best way to do this would be a stamp tool. Ugh. But I want to do more of like prints and that kind of stuff. Just like I want to like someday go back and do like some more conventions. I miss doing conventions. Whenever I go to a convention, I'm like, fuck. That space was just so genuinely a space that I loved. And I don't really exist there anymore. And like I have a backlog of prints. Cause like I've been running my online store and that kind of thing, but I should do kind of like how this looks. It's like a very thin one, much more rapier-like. But I feel like because my art is very out of date for what I've been doing, I want new stuff. But how to like I don't know, there's like I want new stuff, and so I need to sit down and draw new stuff, but I've been out of it for so long that, like, I know, I remember some stuff that did really well. I also just don't draw that much fan art anymore. I draw a lot of art of my own characters. But I wanted, like, a idea of like what would like what would do not well, but like an idea of a style that I could do. And when I was looking up prints that I like, a lot of them were very much almost like framed kind of tarot cardy, which I thought was very neat. And so I wanted to do that. I wanted to start practicing doing that even with my own characters. I'm gonna mute for a second because I'm gonna take a bite of breakfast. Yeah. And then the other kind of one that I was thinking about of like a style that I would like to, or I guess more subject matter that I would like to emulate is like tabletop game books. I have thinking about this, I got reminded of my, like, this morning, I got reminded of my, should be more triangle shapes. Like, I have a system that I've been building for the last few years, on and off. And, I pulled it out again this morning and was working on it, and I really enjoy that system. I, as with many things, want to finish it someday. But the idea of practicing by doing, because basically the idea of that system is, so I ran, okay, this would actually be straight in the middle. I ran a few sessions of Mutant Year Zero, which is a system that I love dearly, and would like to run again at some point. One of my biggest takeaways from Mutant Year Zero was the idea that, the idea of a system fitting, like gameplay impacts feel, which impacts world also impacts, like the idea that gameplay, world, and story are all very intertwined. Because they are in Mutant Year Zero. Mutant Year Zero has a, like, suggestions for how to, build your world, and, like, a built-in, built-in lore, and so it meshes so well with, the, like, story if you run the, like, the base story, and, that kind of, just everything fitting so well was something that really struck me of, like, oh, D&D can't do that, because D&D, like, D&D does it best, actually, when you run a, like, D&D can do that. D&D does it best when you run a pre-made campaign from Wizards of the Coast. I've run one twice. How the frick do I do straight lines? Like an actual and it tends to struggle when you start doing most anything else, to be honest. I love D&D, but that feeling of a cohesive world tends to struggle when doing anything else. And this is a critique that can be given to any play system. Pathfinder, I love Pathfinder. I have played Pathfinder very limitedly, but Pathfinder, Draw Steel, these systems are meant for a thing. And once you start taking away that thing, they become a simulation of a world in which they don't exist in. This actually makes me incredibly interested about how GURP works. I used to know some more about GURP, which is the generic role-playing... I don't remember exactly what it stands for. It's like, there's generic and role-playing in there, but it's basically the idea that you can build any sort of world with it. And I think that's neat. I'm interested to see how they, I'd be interested to see how they pull that off. But, so I knew for this world, expanding off of the thesis that I learned from Mutant Year Zero, you can tell a more internally cohesive world if you make the system fit the world and the story. I wanted to, my next big project, actually I started this project before I ran another campaign after I started this project, which was my redo of the pre-written campaign that I'd run before. I did not finish. I got pretty far though. But I feel like this is a good enough spot to move on. But I forgot where I was going with that. Yeah, so I've been working on this system for the last while, on and off, and I think it's neat. It started actually as a can I jail, like, without, because I made, oh shit, I still have mirroring on. I ran my Mutant Year Zero campaign while working on it, and mini campaign while I was working on it, and the so it started prior to learning that lesson, and it was a D&D 5e hack. That's how I would probably describe it. And it made me learn, like, because a lot of it is actually inspired by Fire Emblem. But it made me learn a lot of the main lessons that I'd want to take into the actual system of, like, I love the idea of a like you have 2 range for all of your ranged things, and you have a and the separation between like magical defense and like melee defense. Those were all things that I was like, okay, this is a core of the system in order to get, because this is a dungeoneering system. And then it became a question of like let me merge these down. Of if I want to so I figured out that I wanted it to be a dungeoneering system. I tried to basically recreate Fire Emblem for one of my tests, which unsurprisingly did not work. It did make me realize that what did I learn from that test? People expect to have a overworld, like, skill check system, basically. Which I am not interested in, actually. I'm interested in, so why don't I want skills? Well, I mean, there's a different thing in the system called skills, but, why don't I want skills? Because I want... So there is a weird thing in most tabletop systems that I've played. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need to pause for a second while I grab my visual reference for Kelly's color palette. It's just a pit crew that I made. Say just pit crew creators put a shit ton of effort into their stuff. Their stuff. I don't know how to describe it. Just doing a billion layers. But basically one of the big problems that I wanted to solve was you can't assassinate people in D&D. I mean, you can, like, it can be a story element, but, like, if you are standing over somebody's sleeping body, you cannot slit their throat. Which sounds weird, I know, but there is, because people have so much health, there is a weird breakage of, like, this would kill a man, but it can't, because that's not how the rules work. In order to kill somebody, you have to, like, have a full-out fight. And, like, people homebrew that and that kind of thing. I like it when it's homebrewed out, because, I just find it to be very frustrating. Of, like, so they would be dead after this, and they're not. Same thing of, like, dropping rocks on somebody. It makes it so that way, like, a lot of terrain, like, if you do clever things with terrain, doesn't matter. But the main thing, I think, that bothers me is, when you drop rock, or when you slit someone's throat, they don't die. Which I think, honestly, nerfs rogues. black goes over this, I don't need to trace it. Because rogues have an assassinate ability, which is supposed to kind of emulate this because it gives them a bunch of damage when they like have a higher initiative than their opponent, and and their opponent hasn't gone first. That's what it's meant for. It's generally never used for that though, because it's meant to give the I'm holding up my hands towards the camera. It's meant to give the opportunity to assassinate people, but it's never used for that because they probably still have too much health. And so, like, we don't have good heists, or, like, good, I guess, heist murders. Where, like, you break into a place to kill a guy. Which is, like... I want there to be a... Oh, and then the other, like, big revelation, I'd say, that made me, has been a big component in this system, in particular, has been the idea that your system is not meant to emulate everything, which I think the skill checks get, concerningly close to. Where it's like, the idea of, well, my desk's very wobbly right now. Trying to think of a popular game. I want this to change color. There is not a ration system in Celeste. Why? Because it's not a survival game. I mean, it is a don't fall off the fucking mountain game. Peak, however, has a food system. And so the this is something that I kind of wish that D&D had, but D&D only gives you very limited bonuses for fighting next to your allies, where it's like the flanking bonus. Trying to think. Basically any game that doesn't have fall damage. It doesn't have fall damage or a hunger system. It's not because those systems can't be made. It's because they wouldn't add to the experience. We've seen people make them. Where it's like, D&D, in my opinion, needs an assassination system. If it's going to have everybody have a shit ton of health. But it doesn't need that, because it's meant to be, like, swords and sorcery. It makes it harder to tell the kind of stories that I want to tell, in which you can fucking kill people very easily, but that's not... I had a really good example when I was talking to myself about this the other day, which I think is always, like, the problem. There's, like, okay, here's an example. Would D&D be better for, like, any campaign that you were in if it had a nutritional, like, system of, like, you need to get your protein, you need to get your vitamins, etc., etc. It would probably just bog down play. Now, if you're playing a pirate campaign, and you have a nutritional system, in order to see if you got scurvy, that would be a fun and interesting thing. Of, like this is a thing that is common for, like, a common, like, historical thing and trope, kind of, for this story, and we have a system to determine it. That way it is not, because systems are, in tabletop games, I think, are generally used, to create a sense of fairness when somebody gets something, or when somebody gets something taken away. Which actually causes friction when players want things to be taken away for a story reason. Which is why I think that if a player ever tells you, "Can I sacrifice this thing?" you should always say yes. This is my opinion. Allie hot take. That is partially because I am a player who always tries to sacrifice things, and I am not allowed to. Ah, frick! I put. Yeah, we're doing great. But so, anyways, why I don't want skills in the keep on toying between if it should be called CDC or NDA. Where it's CDC is Cataclysm Dungeoneering Co. And then NDA is Northwoods Dungeoneering Academy. I think that it should be Northwoods. Partially because, since I have started working on this, my Monday campaign has, like, the Cataclysm as a big event that happened. And, if I were to ask them to playtest for me, that would cause confusion. Even though Cataclysm is just a word. So there's not actually... And I know that they wouldn't be upset. It's just like a clarity thing. Given my possible text audiences. But... So I want the combat system to be a major force when people are inside of dungeons. Because this is a dungeon delving system. However, I want it to be more like, so my background is from text-based roleplay. I want it to be more those kinds of vibes when we are outside of like a dungeon. And partially because I want the almost horror aspect of, because I know that at some point there's going to be a fight that happens outside of the dungeon, and I want the deadliness of that to be a almost horror element of, like, oh shit, like, actually hitting somebody without, like, magic being involved is scary. But, and, like, the whole thing of, like, if you get hit in the head, like, if you punch someone in the head, there's, like, a very small chance, but a chance that they just, like, instantly die. And, like, that's spooky. That's... I went on, like, a whole rant about, like, you don't need to emulate life, but, like, that is a thing that I want to emulate for this campaign, is that like not all like character deaths are like I'm gonna be honest, I would probably keep it away from a character death because that is such a far juxtaposition. But like from what people would be used to. But having it be an NPC death would definitely be something that I would do. Now we get to merge all these. Especially because something that I want to do is like, I want the, because I'm like very much a big focus of, I need to color the freaking sword first. Hold on. 11 swords are like a little bit yellowish, right? Eleven swords. See, I haven't looked at 11 sword throughout this entire. They have little spikes on their edges. No, they are actually silver. But they have like a gold down the middle. I do like a poly. I want like a fill. I think that what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the selection. But oh, that's gonna be annoying. Okay. But I don't remember where I was going with this. See, I now remember why I don't use this tool. Okay. Get this color. But yeah, so that's for the NDA. Oh yeah, so I want it to be very very focused on like this Dungeoneering Academy, and I want, as the players level up, for them to kind of take on more responsibilities as a member of that community, as members of that community. And so I'm very cool with killing higher ups. That way the players can take their place, because I feel like a lot of games don't really have like base hub places, which is another thing that I'm kind of taking from Mutant Year Zero. Mutant Year Zero has full like like mechanics for building your like your arc is what it's called in that one. I don't know how far I want to go into that. But I do know that I want to I might introduce a system for that once they get to the point where they're in charge of like stuff around the academy. Let's switch this back to the reference. Thank you! I work very hard on it. I've been working very hard on like drawing faster. Because I was actually, when I started streaming, I was having a big problem of like, it took me months to finish something. Which isn't necessarily something that's bad. I know plenty of artists who have incredibly like intricate pieces where they spend like a shit ton of time on them. My thing is that I'm not patient. And so I was like, that isn't gonna work for me because like I was like constantly experimenting with things and then that would slow me down, and then because I was like trying something new. And it just wasn't working. Not for how I draw. And so I've spent the last little bit learning how to draw faster, and sometimes that means like doing less experimentation. But like kind of nailing down something before I move on to the next thing. And doing a lot more pieces that I'm not satisfied with. Which sometimes is frustrating, but like letting go of pieces that like I have this problem where I feel like I need to finish everything. And working past that of like it's okay to let pieces go has been hilariously a very like freeing and like something that's improved my skill quite a bit. And then we're gonna add the red tones first, because I always forget to. Yes, this looks like a lot. It will get blended out because I'm gonna paint over it. But yeah. I'm just blocking in some kind of pillowy shading right now. That's a vibe. Human shaped. It's like, it's always a thing when you're like new to art or new to learning how to draw a different kind of thing, where it's like, I very much, so it's kind of funny, I don't draw animals very much, except for at my work, where I do sometimes, which isn't something that when I first got into art I thought would be a would ever be a weakness of mine, because I got into art by drawing Pokemon. I haven't played the more recent games, but I was absolutely obsessed with the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series. And like that was, my mom tells a very cute story of like she would see, because I would take I had like a bunch of the different like Pokedexes where it was like the little books with all the pictures of Pokemon and then like little facts about them, and I would take paper over them and I would trace them, and then she like tells the story of when she first started seeing, like she saw me do that a bunch, and then she would see me do that and then draw them in different poses, and she was like, because my mom also was big into art when she was younger, and she's like, I never got to that step of being able to break them down into forms and then draw them in a different shape. And so she was just like, she's very nice. I love my mom. Yeah, see, adding that red undertone has helped a lot compared to I've done it before. Makes her look less dead. She does still look really weird because she doesn't have any facial features basically visible. But we're gonna do the white shading first. So basically, what I do here is actually a new thing that I've been trying out. Because basically, when I do my first, like, round of colors, I basically just take the, I hue shift them a little bit, and I like, hue shift them, change their, value and saturation, and then I, like, use that as, like, a first base thing, and then I'll do, like, I'll look at how, like, color bounces and that kind of thing later. Sometimes. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm like, I'm done. But I, see, now I'm getting into rendering clothing. I like rendering clothing. Do I have more? Oh yeah, I have a ton more white stuff. But, I made a, like, auto action in Clip Studio Paint of, doing these kind of edits, and then also, I have a layer on top where I can change the light color, which I wanted to keep it this is kind of my, like, basic thing where I do, like, a yellow light, blue kind of tone shading, because okay, and so since this is metal, we push the shading darker. Push the lighting lighter. And then this helps me get down a first coat, which I have some struggles with, like, visualizing things. And so it's nice for me to get that, like, first layer down. Okay. We also fully forgot to do the sword. It is big. I didn't color in the tip of the sword. Okay. That's fine. That's fine, I say. Not bothered by it at all. Okay, that's fine for, like, a first layering. Hair shading. I have to zoom in. But I do this to make, like, a very quick palette. And then I can get things in really fast and they look like they're in the same, like, scene. And then I can do, like, little tweaks later. Okay. Need to do... It's like here I'm not actually full. I'm gonna do just, like, a little dot in the middle for, like, the shading here. Ugh. So now I can also see, like, what are the things that I need to fix or add. Where's my white layer? I forgot all of the buttons. Something that I can see, and so we're gonna go in and add. Whoop. We're gonna go in and add those. Dun, 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 dun. This tool, not that tool. My hand's not that steady today. It's having a bit more crunchy looking things. It's fine. Well, that one's bad enough that we're gonna redo. I like how it kind of looks like teeth. Maybe we should make these actually like the kind of gold color of the sword. I need to zoom in to get that. Okay. And now let's grab sword color. Well, first let's deselect. And let's grab breakfast. Breakfast today is acorn squash. And it slaps. Last night I was like, I had a migraine last night, and so I was like, kind of like prepping for like, okay, how is tonight gonna go? I was like, I don't want to eat chicken nuggets, but I should get some protein in me. Or like some sort of healthy meal. And then I was like, I have an acorn squash, and that takes so little effort. It's just like, how I make them is just like, you cut them with like a steak knife in half, chuck them in the oven at like 400 degrees for half an hour, put butter, brown sugar, nutmeg, and cinnamon in them, after 30 minutes, and keep them cooking for another like 20 to 30 minutes. Until you can open the oven and stab them really easily. And then you're done. And they don't keep the best. I mean, they're fine. But it's just like, they're much less satisfying. And they don't reheat that well. In like the, I don't know why, but the butter, like, it might be that my microwave sucks. My microwave does suck. But, okay, we need to, I'm actually just gonna, I don't usually do this. We're gonna, add another layer for the facial features, because they're bothering me not being there. But it's a really great, like, I don't feel up to cooking. And then, like, the first time that I took out the seeds, so I do have seeds, took a little bit longer, but now it's very fast where I just go absolutely ham with a spoon. I love acorn squashes. They also, so, I've been learning how to cook recently. By that I mean, I knew how to cook, I was simply afraid of cooking. But, I've been practicing a lot recently, and, like, because of my various ailments, sometimes I'll get food, and then I'm not necessarily able to cook it. And then I wait, and then, the food goes bad, and I'm like, broke. Because it costs money, and for various other reasons, it's not a good thing to waste food. Like, I accept it that is simply a function of my life, but it always bums me out. Acorn squashes, though, they keep forever. Not really, but they keep for a long time. And they're like a good, they taste good. And when they are made, and so it's just like a very chill vibe of like harder to fuck up. And so let me figure out the lips are shaded. Let me go to the darker red. And so that is why I love acorn squashes. I have like a I have a butternut squash that I'm a little bit nervous has gone bad, but I also don't think so, and so I just need to cook it. I don't want to throw it out in case it's still good, but I also don't know how to tell if it's still good, and so it's just been there for a while. It's not squishy or anything. I was worried that it was squishy at the start, but it really isn't. Okay. love this ugh. Well, we're gonna, I really should have mirrored it before doing the fills. Fix it later. Now we do shading. Because I can't really liquefy stuff to make them look necessarily super better right now. Oh, and then makes it less pinky toned. Okay, so now we're going in with very specific shading. Of like I'm gonna do this one a little bit more like plain based. I've been really liking art in like that style recently. I do actually need to get the freaking nose holes. And then there's like this kind of. This is like a soft edge. This is like a hard edge. This is like a soft edge. My ploy of doing like very plains-based shading has failed, regrettably. Okay, we're merging things together. No. I am drawing a very hard angle. It makes sense that it's not necessarily looking good. It's clear what I'm trying to do. It's just not necessarily working. Okay, we're gonna go do some fabric painting on other sections and try not to think about it. Soothe myself with fabric painting. I used to hate fabric painting, and now it is. I find it very enjoyable. Why does this look so much more saturated than up here? I guess I must have like basically painted out the mid-tone. This makes it look very satiny almost, which is a neat look. Okay. I don't know how I do clothing folds. I just kind of turn my brain off and my brain simulates fabric. Which is incredibly convenient, but I don't know how. Good here. We need the drop shadow for this. This actually needs to go further out. Okay. Ugh. My foot fell asleep. Okay. And then we need to do more about these flowers. My different brushes are basically the same brush, but with slightly different hardness. I used to have like a bunch of different brushes, and I still use some of them, where it's like I use like a bristle brush for hair, and then I mostly use them for textures. I find that like they can make it look a little bit too messy almost. Or just like things aren't painted in the same way, which they're not, but like it's just like I think that the main thing that would frustrate me about it was when I would paint like, what is it? Was when I would do like line art and then I'd paint it, and I like my line art to not be visible at the end. Especially because I can make mistakes like that. But also, like, it just makes it look more cohesive to me. It's a stylistic preference that I have. And it's much harder to make your line art go away if your line art's in a different, like, brush than what you use for the rest of the picture. And so I have that a little bit, where there's, like, some elements are done with, like, the same brush, but it's harder, and so it has harder edges. It's like right now, the feet look like very harsh edge versus, like, other things. But it's still more blendy, I've found, than otherwise. And I do need, like, that level of, like, a harsh edge sometimes, like, here. Makes it easier to, like, cut in for things, that kind of thing. Okay. Hair will be rendered kind of more later when we do the overpaint step, but so I don't actually need to do much here. Just like general form. Now here we get the fun. Hello? Oh, you're not locked. So now I want this to look like a very light piece of fabric. So it's gonna get a lot of wrinkles. Something like that. And as it gets close to the edge, these will also have... I keep on forgetting to tell it to not record it. Hang on, it glitches out when it's out of space. Bum, 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 bum. Okay. Now then, delete them. There we go. And now let's do this one. So I did already push this a little bit darker, but I also want to push it big hue shift in like the reflection area. And then I'm also using the hard brush for, yes, I did lock it, for metal because metal tends to have more like almost like striations of shading. And also, like, if you line edges, it's very fun. And these I didn't shade at all in the first pass. So now we can fix my wonky proportions. First, we're gonna go through and okay, so in order to like fix my wonky proportions, I'm gonna have to actually merge the line art layer down, which means that first we're going to switch over here. We're gonna remove any line art that isn't needed. So usually this is a good shout for like, okay, so we can see, remove this, this gets muddy, so now we're going to go over to that layer and fix it. Because it's basically, that shows that your line art is defining some of your values, rather than the actual piece. So we're gonna actually drop this to a darker color. That is very slight, but it looks very, very giant. And we're also gonna like clean this up a little bit. So now let's see if that looks good. Yes. Those are clear against each other. Those are clear. That's clear. This is not clear. I also did not shade her knee. Next quest is this knee. And then her little frilly thing. I feel like I have a darker... No, just a little bit. Just over. And then the frilly thing. We're gonna cut in some shadows. See, I used to know what the different types of shadow were called, and now I don't remember. I should look it up, because that will mean that I forget less of them. we go. See if it is clear without the... Yes! Excellent. This junction is not clear. There we go. So we're going to keep it on the blade of the sword, I think is going to be the main place that we keep it. Hell yeah. Oh! And then... this needs a little bit on there. So I usually don't merge the line art into get in the folder into the like overpaint layer, but this time I will because I need to liquefy things. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually keep all of these. We're gonna use the... I'm gonna duplicate this. Never mind. That would not work because this has no shading on it. Actually, that's fine because we're just using it as a... Basically what I want to keep... Nope, those are all merged. Okay. Guys, we got this. So the reason why I want to keep versions of it that are unmerged is because I want to be able to go back and use them as selections. So we're going to our selected layers, and then clipping. Unclip this, merge these two together, merge, merge. Merge, okay. So now we can liquefy it. See, this is why you remember to eat before stream. Okay. Okay. I've had that ruler thing on the entire time. Do it. Looks so bad when you mirror it, but it's just all of the imperfections that you have not been able to see. So this is like at a slight angle. Ears are further down. The head position affects the eyes a little bit more. They're almost more like... This will be a really funny, like, speed paint to look back on. The chin still looks wrong. And that is probably partially because this is a very hard angle to do. Something with the right eye looks weird. With the left eye. Is it the fact that there's no hair over here? Like a skin tone that'll show up against the background. I think we are getting closer. This line is bothering me. Is it like the fact that this part of the head is kind of jutting out and that makes it look like a different rotation? This goes out too. See if mouth at all. Also that kind of expression. I think that I'm becoming very chill with how it's looking. I think that we're gonna move on to a new layer. Ugh. Mia! Hi, baby! He's my baby. He's my baby. You. You wanna say hi? You're so cute. You're so stupid. You want attention? I don't know if you can hear her licking. I don't think so. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Your little feetsies. Can I get back to work? Do you want snuggle? How about I put you on the bed? And then... Hello? Okay. The stream is ending in 17 minutes. Then you can get snuggles, okay? I'm gonna go put you on the bed. Put you in. She's a little puppy burrito. She's just sitting and staring at me. Like, Mom, when will you be done? The real reason why I can't stream for longer is because of Mia. She wants attention. She's my little angle. I'm actually very happy with how this is turning out. Honestly, especially the face. You should play the same song twice. They'll probably get to finish this today. Let's grab some. That is why it is a little bit useful to leave in some of the line work, is because you can use it as dark cast shadows. Not cast shadows. Foreshadows? You said that I needed to review what they were called. Yeah, you are being a menace. A menace to society. He's like, I know. I'm always a menace. Hey, where you thinking of going? Where you thinking of going, Via? She may be being a menace in the other room now. Hold up. You're staying in here. You read the room. You might cause mischief. Don't need that. Okay. Back on the bed with you. Okay. Immediately she got off. I don't like drawing shoes. Drawing shoes is boring. I will allow myself to do the hair after I draw the shoes. You need to just think about shoes as like a very stiff fabric. I mean, is kind of what this kind of shoe is. I also don't like drawing feet, so. It's mostly shoes that I don't like, though. They're just complicated, and I don't like them. People don't need feet, you know? This is my hot take. decently happy with these shoes. I say, continuing to work on them. Okay, I'm not done with the shoes. I actually decently like the shoes. I think that the edge shading is a bit much, but now I'm gonna do hair. All is well. I don't actually get to do much hair, given her like angle, but any hair is good. This needs to be finished later. Coming up on the end. We can add any more kind of like deepest dark shadows. We can actually shade that hand. I think I want to keep it just flat like that. It's a much more like, this is a character in a pose. Like, or this is somebody doing a pose, which fits for... She is someone very, very much in tune with how she is perceived. So I do the other hand. Is there any other spaces that I can add specular highlights? Because those were fun. Well, actually, we should do some like edge lighting in different colors. Now it's the effects time. Otherwise known as Allie fixes any shading mistakes that she made earlier. So by doing this, I'm adding in more, like, tonal variation to things. I actually don't like how that looks on the skirt. Just allowing myself to do like these big kind of swaths of color over things. Like this looks kind of flat just because I don't have enough color variation in it. It's just looking more like pillowy though. So I want to go through these like areas that would not have any light. I'll do it with this one. I actually kind of want to make it so that it doesn't hit anything on the back. Other thing that I want to do is I want to grab this filter, blur, Gaussian blur. What are you doing it? Soft light. Kind of like color, I guess. Just makes it so that way, like, right towards the edge, it'll go towards. And then, what else do we want to add? Might be a little bit too strong. That's good enough. Hello! We are just finishing up, but we've been drawing, I keep on wanting to say Silesia. It's Celestia, right? No, it's not. It's Callista. There we go. I can remember my own character's name. She's new. But, that way she has art to use. But, I'm gonna do one last thing. Which is I'm gonna add a texture to the mantle. So, because we saved all of the, because we saved all of the colors in different layers, take this and then selection from layer, add selection. And so now we have, so you see, since we shifted things around, this doesn't exactly work, but works for getting a good base selection. And now we can, take out all of these parts. Nope. Okay, so I need to hold Alt before I start selecting. I was like, what am I hitting? My brain was going minus. And now we're going to get to a brush that has a texture like this, and then we're gonna just set its multiply. Darker probably? How did I do this before? It worked really well when I did this before. Do I need like a bigger, more detail? So that's like too just do that? No, I did like something that had like, maybe it was like that. But it was like a, made it look nice and used. And then this is duplicated like below, and I shifted it. So it looked like just the slightest amount like pockmarked. I think that's good. Okay. You can see it kinda. It didn't work as well as it did on Francesco's drawing. But so today we drew Callista, who's my new Fire Emblem OC. We talked a bit about her, we talked about drawing processes, we talked about the system that I'm building, and yeah, let me get to my end of stream stuff. And why are there so many pop-ups? Okay. Yeah. That was all for today. I stream 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. CST on weekends. I'll be streaming tomorrow, and I hope to see you then.